treated. Um, I had the opportunity to attend yesterday's press conference with Representative Mace, and I did ask her, was she concerned about her lack of social equity in the bill, and would that keep Democrats from getting on board? Her response to me was that was a truly Republican response, in that she's leaving social equity up to the states, that the states know how to provide better for their citizens than the federal government does. And so that's where she stands on the social equity side of things. Another thing that I found interesting about this press conference was who was with her. She was surrounded by about a half dozen or more veterans groups. She was also surrounded by Americans for Prosperity, which is the Koch group. She had other folks with her. And another person that I think is important to talk about is Justin Streckel, the political director of Normal, who has said, between the previously passed MORE Act, the recent Senate proposal by Leader Schumer, and this new bill, it's truly a race to the top for the best ideas and smartest approaches to responsible reform. And Normal is endorsing this bill. So I think people need to start thinking, are social advocates going to jump and really start taking a look harder at Republican legislation because they see that the Democrats aren't getting it done? This scratching for State of Cannabis News.
I got to jump in there real quick. Social equity cannot be left to the states to handle. It's not being done well now. It's not going to be done well unless it's
Exactly.
a top-down
They
initiative.
need some guidance.
Period. It has to be federal.
I
Period.
hear you, but why do you
What
think the
makes
feds are going to do a better job?
exactly?
Because it'll be
Thank you.
uniform.
Feds aren't.
Because it'll at least be uniform across the board. Like this piecemeal bullshit, municipality up is not working for anybody.
If you Rico is 100%. If you don't give at least some guardrails or foundation of this is at least the bare minimum of what you have to do and allow people to have something that goes up. Because if you leave it to the state, if I'm in a state where I don't have a state that really believes in social equity, they have a choice to opt out. So is that right?
I think that giving 50 chances to get it right rather than giving the federal government one chance to mess it up, I'd rather go with 50.
I think it's going to be an interesting debate. Another thing that I found interesting is when I asked her about getting bipartisan support. They're more interested in getting Republicans on board. Her goal is to get Republicans on board first, and if they have the majority of votes she needs, then she's going to call out Democrats and say, Democrats, are you really not going to support this? And leave it up to them to tank it.
I guess Democrats could just point to the MORE Act and say, why the hell didn't you support that when it had all those components and just a 5% excise tax? So it's like, where were the Republicans at that point? Where was the Senate at that point?
They weren't ready. But
well, they should have been ready.
Now.
It's been 60 years. Well, it's not just when you want to go; it's when.
Well, you also have to look at the political climate has changed dramatically.
And that's in a perfect world of it needs to be done right now. But I want to go back to the point of we go, well, how's the federal government do it? Well, guess what? This is a society that we live in. And don't think that the state government at the state level is doing any better job than at the federal level. It's all BS across the board. It's just either you take 6 of one or half a dozen of the other.
I think the biggest problem we're seeing with social equity on the states or on the federal level is no one is incentivized to do it. And that is what's holding it up.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You gotta be incentivized to do it. Oh my God. All right.
I'm not saying that they have to be. I'm just saying that's how it is. I'm not.
Okay.
Well, that's BS. Like, why do we got to be incentivized to do the right thing when the shit was built on the back of black and brown people that's going to jail is still in jail for this shit? Like, what the fuck?
Totally agree. And this is a very, very, very big topic that we need to talk about. And we are launching our new room every Wednesday right after the show. What could go wrong next Wednesday? What could go wrong with federal legalization? So let's talk about this next Wednesday.